Brother Hughes.
Brother Black.
How you doing again, sir?
How we doing this afternoon?
Oh man, I
I'm
can't
doing
complain.
well, man. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I said I can't complain. I'm feeling blessed,
That,
feeling blessed and highly favored.
that's great. That's great. Another as you should be, as we are.
I
And
think you kind of going back
happy
and
to be
forth a
here
little
with you
bit.
this afternoon.
Are are you still with me?
There it is. It caught up a second. Yeah.
All right, all right. Technical
Ooh.
issues, as always, tends to be the reality of life now in this modern age, right?
Yes, yes. Because technology always survives, but we continue to catch up and hold on in hopes of using those tools to leverage and gain more access as we do. It's all about, what do they used to say, putting the chicken before the egg, or and so we tend to be the cart in cases of this in the horse, and now we're the car talking wirelessly uh, across, a small area wherein 100 haven't been thought of. And so now here we are, technology to spread a new message and get out here and talk to the people about what we intend to do and how this change we can use it to impact our communities and in creating a better future.
Right on, right on. And speaking of which, thank you, for the people that are viewing the stream right now. Really appreciate you. And if you can, just go ahead and take out a little bit of your time to like the stream and also share the stream, because we want to make sure that we get this message out as far and broad as possible. So again, thank you. We appreciate you, and we definitely intend to make this very informative, because that's what's always our focus, and especially the focus of this campaign, and especially the focus that I've been involved in, and brother Jonas has shown himself to be an expert in, and that's bringing the message, to the people using this campaign process and this campaign platform. And so this live stream is one of the ways that we are trying to be more effective in getting that messaging out. So we appreciate you, tuning in with us, and definitely feel free to leave a comment. We want to create as much of an exchange as possible, and we don't do this all the time, but we try to do it as often as we can, to make sure that we're keeping people tuned in to really what's going on. Right now, we have a pretty exclusive thing, because we're kind of going over some issues that weren't resolved in the last live stream, or not necessarily some issues, but some things that weren't covered as far as the local elections here in Kansas City are concerned. I know people have a lot of interest about what's going to be on the ballot coming up next, but a lot of things have changed in just a very short period of time. A lot of we've seen some things be certified just recently that's going to be included on the ballot. Am I right, brother Jonas? In November.
Oh yeah, and yeah, come November, we're going to see some interesting that people. There's always a dramatic change from the primary election. We did, but we've been seeing historically low turnout, as we talked about. And it's happening on both sides, Democratic and Republican. And so this idea and what we've been discussing is how to empower and excite people to get involved in the process once again, and being a part of this campaign and understanding, and taking that power back and putting that back into try so we can triumph once again and fill the human spirit with that necessity, that fire, in order to be a part of the progress and change that we need in our people. And so that is why we continue to stream now, and we continue to meet and discuss what we were discussing, like the local campaigns and getting out. What was your take also on the numbers as we saw in our area, but the numbers statewide? I mean, I thought they were lower than I, and even as the turnout from Democrat to Republican, it seemed low in every community. And when that's an issue, I think that we have to be talking about the process as a whole and not just particular communities, because if politics is turning everybody off, it means something is going wrong at the top and not just locally. But we can change things
Well,
locally, which is why we're doing and creating this campaign in a way. Mhm.
no, I was that's exactly what I was about to say. I think far too often, the local politics, it gets caught up, man, in the national rhetoric, in the national conversation. The focus, of course, has really been, zeroed in on the presidential races, and especially here in Missouri. We saw a lot of the governor's races, and even the secretary of state's race, and other races, on the statewide level. They had a lot of the rhetoric. Let me just put it that way: a lot of the rhetoric that you would hear on the national scale. And some of these
Mhm.
things, I see why people want to have that focus and have so much interest in, things like, China, or whatnot, and things that are taking place on the border, because we do see those ramifications, right? We do see how, those policies on a national scale, do start to have an effects on the things that are happening in our backyard. But one of the things that I believe is that even though the conversation might be on a national basis, you have to combat and you have to fight those things locally. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, I agree 100%. It all begins locally. That national conversation is well and good. Everything begins locally. As we said in past episodes, all politics is local. And so when you've got engagement at a local level, what many people don't realize is a lot of those policies and those ideas often at the state level are an incubator for what goes on nationally. And so it starts locally. And when you begin to see what's happening locally and you become involved, then soon realize that you're really involved and your message is powerful and it's reaching, you'll notice that the national people will pick it up. And then all of a sudden you see what began as a groundswell in your local area is now part of the national conversation. And us being can happen all the time. We used to be the bellwether state. For instance, we are discussing nature versus nurture, and the nature of politics today has become from the lack of nurturing that we've seen on a local level. And so the nature of politics has changed. And we see nobody writing on issues, and we see nobody discussing really what people want to engage with or what they want to understand on why politics and how it makes their life better. Instead, we constantly see this idea where people are being angry and they're confused because they don't understand what politics is and why it's relevant to them. They don't. Nobody's answering the questions on why is my paycheck not going up, but yet the cost of groceries is going up. My utilities are going up. My taxes are going up. Everybody, it seems to like, can look around and I'm not benefiting. My education that my children are getting is not the same level of education that I got when I went through school. Uh, my ability to for myself and my health so that I can provide for those. And this idea that where you even had a breakdown where we've gotten so far what people can identify as rather than even just being a family, and with the importance of family anymore and having support around you and having an environment actually feel nurtured and supportive where you are being told that you can succeed and you can go out and achieve. And I think we need to have that discussion in order to really kind of come back to a place where we can all have opt-in to the conversation and feel like they're being heard.
Look, brother Jonas, I don't know if I know you saw um, what was happening in Ferguson over the weekend, right? They was doing the 10-year memorial or 10-year, recognition of the things that had happened, as it relates to Michael Brown, right? And I'm not 100%
African
sure.
American society
Uh-huh.
is in trouble.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to play that at the moment. But I don't know if you saw
No, it's all right.
where
I'm glad I
I don't
know.
know if you saw where, you know, um, there was an incident that had taken place, right? And now you
Mm-hmm.
have a police officer, an African American police officer, right? I believe he's in critical condition. Definitely praying for him and his family. Hopefully he pulls through. But he's experiencing something that did not have to take place, and the backlash that the sheriff and that the mayor had, against the rioters and the protesters and just the whole atmosphere that has been created within Ferguson, Missouri, right? And thank God, that we didn't, we're not experiencing, some of those things, or the city didn't get, tore up, back then, because I can remember it pretty distinctly back in 2014 when, witnessing the things that had taken place, and then all of a sudden you see the Black Lives Matter movement start to form and take place out of that, and then we see just really a whole shift within the political climate and even just political activism, where you start to see even, people like Cori Bush get elected to Congress, based off of this movement, help
Mm-hmm.
or break down for people, because again, you offer a lot, when it comes to, once being an elected official and seeing how these ramifications and, starts to metastasize into the political conversation. Talk a little bit about, how we're seeing a change that's maybe moving away from all this buildup that we've seen, just recently, and don't forget that nature versus nurture conversation, that we're trying to center in here on.
It goes back. Well, that goes back to our community as a whole, because now we're talking about right. We're talking about that was supposed to be a. They were. It was the 10th anniversary of the Michael. They had this. I'm not sure what the whole intent was, because obviously, when the outcome is you've got a black police officer, black people involved with the pro whatever it was meant to be, and so I do not comes to the nature of the talk about our community. Are we on the same page, and what are we trying to achieve as a community? If we're constantly seeing these stories and things coming out of our community, and we're constantly having to have this. First off, it's black on black violence, and then now it's not only black on black violence. Now it's black law enforcement versus the black community, and so we're seeing it metastasize rather than creating a nurturing environment within our community where we're able to have conversations on why we're able to address the problems that what made the Michael Brown happen in the first place. Not whether you can just boiling down to what we're talking about him and a police officer, but what brought about that whole situation where we could have had a young man who was armed together, as we've often said. And so we've got to find an idea and of what we're creating in our community, and this idea too that it's always one-sided. All men are being forced into, the a life of crime, or an idea that they don't have any choice. We all make choices, and we've got to seize this narrative back from the left, where they make it seem that the black community is dependent upon the system, or it needs in order to provide guidance and help so that it can find its way, so that we aren't continually lost. And this idea that we're dependent upon these systems really pulled us apart more than allowed us to come together as a community and really get to the nitty gritty of the base and sit down and force ourselves to have a come together talk and wonder how we could have gone backwards as a community rather than move forward. So what are we nurturing? What kind of environment are we creating? And who exactly is responsible for the environment that we're not now seeing? And so if we can step back and really say and ask that question and amongst our peers across the country, we're just having a conversation.
Brother Jonas, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, all right, all
I'm
right,
sorry. It seems
man.
like it's lagging today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a little bit of a lag, but I was able to hear something that you said that I believe is the most critical, thing that we're dealing with right now. Because at first, right, a couple weeks ago, we were just looking at Joe Biden in this race and being, pretty much the figurehead for the Democratic Party, right? Now all of a sudden we see the tables have turned a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only have the tables turned just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but since the tables have turned, one of the things that I'm seeing and that I'm noticing, right, is that we're just supposed to forget every single thing that has happened leading up into this point, right? We're just supposed to forget that Kamala Harris
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessarily a popular person within the Democratic Party herself, right? And we even see, keeping this whole conversation very, very local, like we're trying to do. I've even noticed how our mayor has, sent out a lot of signals, to the Democrats, in a lot of people on the left, how he's infatuated now, with Kamala Harris and all the things that she has so called, done for black folks in the black community. But that is strange to me because one of the things that and look, I got another slide, that I want to share with you right here, because again, this thing is very local in its nature when it talks about the effects for the Missouri State Senate 9th district, right? 23 or 20.3% poverty, which is 1.5 times the rate of the United States average at 12.5, and about 1.5 times the rate of the Missouri average, which is 12.8. So when we talk about the effects and what these political leaders and their initiatives that they're pushing have on the community, we have seen the effects from this same political regime cause this rate of poverty for over a long period of time, and it's been pretty consistent. And it's really unfortunate and sad, right, that when we talk about what it's going to take to correct this situation, what is it going to take, to reverse the economic condition, that we have been so comfortable with, right? Then why is it that we don't hear, and remember, and I'm leaning on you for this, because in these campaign seasons and in these political environments, we hear so much about so many things that have very little relevancy to correcting the economic condition. Brother Jonas, why do you think that's the case?
I think it's because largely we have been misled on what the actually economics is in the past. Oh, since the 21st century. I mean, just look at all the meltdown and bubbles we've already been through in the first quarter century, and the idea that we've been on this basis of consumer economics instead of the economics that built the United States, and that was people embracing the idea of being economically self-sufficient, the idea that they were paying down debt, the idea that they wanted to have ownership, the idea that you were responsible for owning a business, and everybody wasn't trying to be a multi-billion corporation, but providing a good service that they could do for their community and their neighborhood and provide for their families. And this idea that we've gone away from is this idea, like we talk about, we're not creating the environment, and that and by nature of that, we've seen where all of our communities, many of the dollars that are spent they're going out of the community immediately, and there's not anybody who's running for office on a local level, or as we talk about discuss, that wants to create programs that are teaching people financial literacy, helping people get re-engaged in understanding how to open up a small business, and when that small business to maintain and keep it out business can and has expanded beyond brick and mortar and offers more opportunity for people seize themselves and pick themselves up. But unless we're out there and engaging people and providing those things that we to find spinning our wheels. And we can't keep spinning our wheels and expecting change. And at some point too, though, we've got to be the ones that are going in there and when putting maybe we be the chains on the tires. Maybe we've got to be the ones who actually are and put the wood underneath the tires and help people get that grip, because if we're not having the ideas and trying to get to a place where we can implement not policy that drives it, but make sure that there's systems, even the old racist systems that were in place, that we're writing new policy that creates those obstacles and that are allowing people to get to the ways that we can provide for ourselves. We don't need anybody to give us anything. If you allow the same economic opportunities and same things, we can do it and we can create those things and we'll go.
Right. And, you said something that I believe it just doesn't exist anymore within the Democratic Party's platform and even mindset or focus, right? We lost Brother Jonas for a moment.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. But one of the things that you said, bro, is ownership, right? And when you have a level of ownership in the community, then it's almost as if that the capacity for people to have accountability is elevated as well. And so one of the things that I have seen, just be embedded, within the notion of the Democratic Party to this day is that they have this look or this outlook of the future that really doesn't have any space. And I've talked to a lot of different people. We've had these discussions in private as well. It doesn't have any space anymore for what a Black man can do for his family in the community. Wouldn't you agree with that notion?
I agree. I mean, so when you've got that whole thing and that destruction of the family and taking the man out, and then when the man is available to try to get back on his feet and try to look for the support, it's not there for him. And so what kind of environment are we creating for men in this modern time? I know that women say that we have always had a patriarchy and that we've always had that. Still, that wasn't it. That's from an outside looking in. There was a lot that did not have access to equal opportunity. And so now that it's further denied and there's further splintering amongst them, and we're not able to embrace each other and have the same empowerment that we see, we've got to come back together and come together as men and support each other and say, look, this is what our goal is. This is where we've got to get to. And these are the standards that we have to retake and reclaim ourselves in society. And now that we're equal, you should know that equality means we want everybody to succeed. We're not just saying that it should be a patriarchy. It should be a society that we're empowering each other so that we can be our best in order to provide an environment that nurtures everybody in order that we are seeing success.
Look, Brother Jonas, let me I don't know if you've seen this video, but I think it's pretty important. Let me play this video for you real quick.
21st century, the so-called disparity African-American society is in trouble in the 21st century. The so-called disparities are a reflection of our failure. No wonder you have to overstate the contribution of the slaves to the creation of the American political economy. Of course, it was non-trivial, but it was by no means the only thing going on. What is that about, really? In the face of failure. What's all this stuff about the cops in the prisons about? Come on, transparently, it's about failure. What's all this stuff about the Black family about? In a very uncomplicated way, we are collectively not being very good about how we're raising our children. What's the educational gap about? What's the wealth gap about? It's about businesses that didn't get started. You think the Jews had a path paved with gold when they came to this country from Eastern Europe? For crying out loud. You think the Irish didn't work in sweatshops for a century building this country? How dare you not include them in your account of the foundations of American prosperity? The arrogance of it, the solipsism of it is stunning.
Now, I don't necessarily agree with Brother Lowry, on everything, right? But when we talk about, improving the quality of life, a lot of those things that we're talking about that comes around the improvement of the quality of life is associated with this, statistic right here. The per capita income, $26,998, right? Again, look at the United States per capita income, 41,000, and even look at that compared to what's taking place, in Missouri at large, $36,000. And so when you just think of like, what does it take, right, to just live a comfortable type of lifestyle? One of the things that we have seen is that, for decades, Brother Jonas, decades, the quality of life in the district has been almost like a domino effect. The schools fell, which made the communities fall, which therefore drove out the jobs. And now, it is where it is what it is today, right? And it's almost as if we consistently see the rotation of the political figures, in and out of the positions in the seats. And we know that we have basically, Black people all up and down the political spectrum in power right now and in position to do and to bring about the change that we need to see, for the community. And I've even heard a lot of different things and a lot of different ideas, like as far as like even 18th and Vine is concerned. Man, we've had the Cleaver plan for 18th and Vine. We have the Jazz District redevelopment plan for 18th and Vine, and we see so many different other plans as well. But why is it that we never focus on back what the individual can do for themselves and empowering the individual and the families to create the dynamics of their for themselves that can get past, basically what the bureaucracy has established with the so-called redevelopment of the community? Because, and anybody can look this up, right? Anybody can look this up. You go to the Kansas City website, you go to the Planning Commission, and you see all different types of plans. But again, the plans fail. Right, the plans fail. We see very little engagement from approaching it from the standpoint of what the individual can do, because now we've seen that basically all the lawsuits that have taken place with as far as discrimination is concerned, and all the different activities that have taken place, with the Black Lives Matter movement, and now we're dealing with the KC tenants here. Why does it seem that we still are coming up short as far as the development and producing the economic situation that will alter the conditions of our experience within our community?
Once again, because we're coming from giving up our power. We constantly, where we're not acting as if we're in possession of our own destiny. We keep looking to outside instead of inside, and seizing and understanding this, that all right, we don't own any buildings. All right, then 7 of us can come together and buy one building, and then that one building we will occupy with on every every level.
Hey, but Brother Jones, but would you, but Brother Jones, wouldn't you say that
are successful?
Wouldn't you say that we're also still running up against, you know, a lot of friction when it comes to those type of developments? I mean, look at the situation that we just had, you know, with the amendment of the Constitution in the marijuana amendments, right? Did we or did we not exclude a lot of entrepreneurs from being able to tap into a lucrative industry that, you know, has you know, has not been so stigmatized within our community for, you know, for generations? Am I right?
And that is,
you breaking up on me. we got to get you a better internet.
Man, I got to, yeah, I've got to. Like, I've got to get this clip. I want to answer that because you hit it right on the point. Like, you're hitting a point and I want to jump in, but I keep lagging behind. And so you're so right, because we, with the marijuana and with everything, we've got entrepreneurs in our community. We know these people build $1 million businesses from nothing, with the product that has only been illegal. It's made illegal by a system and not the people. The system made it illegal. The people never voted for anything to be illegal. And so, but when you have things that are out of the confines of a system where people can legitimately profit, and then people, if they don't control those systems, they can get that profit. You know what I mean? And then so somebody says, well, then make it illegal. If we can't control the systems by the means of production, and that we can't profit totally, then we've got to shut it down. And then in other communities, we know there has been and continues to be crime, but they're not used as poster children during elections. They're not used as the face of what could go wrong. We are, because, you know, he spoke of the Irish, and actually we've actually seen anti-Semitic stuff on the rise, actually, because with the people don't realize that the Jewish community and the Black community historically have had a relationship. And it's funny that now when it push comes to shove, that people find themselves siding with the very people who would blow us up. We're not talking about the state of Palestine. We're talking about Hamas, a radical group, you know, who does not have any ties to any politics or any system that governs people. They are people who have taken it in their own hands. And so that is to say is, when we talk about our community, we're not talking about the relationships that we've developed, and that we've forgotten a piece of our own history, that we fought for self-sufficiency. We fought to be free. We've been fighting, and we stand on the shoulders of giants right now, and that is why we have got to remember who we are. Muhammad, a young man from Kentucky, who said, "I am the greatest of all time," and he did that coming from a middle class Black family with a mother and father who worked hard, boxing lessons, boxing shoes, you know, and everything he needed to be successful. Except we don't talk about those part of the stories of it, you know what I mean? That he came from a middle class family, Muhammad Ali, and he had wherewithal to grow up and chose his religion, and he became Cassius Clay, became Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali's greatest fight was standing up to the United States Supreme Court. It didn't even happen and so all these contributions, and we come from an attitude still of outsider in this, owning the fact that this country would not be what it is without our contribution.
Right. You know, and
man, this lag is terrible.
Yeah, just a little bit. But you know, the focus on, you know, self-sustainability, it always amazes me, you know, that when, you know, just like your Muhammad Ali's and just like a lot of the other figures that we know of to be giants, you know, again, you said it very, you know, very astutely. We stand on the shoulder of giants, right? And so when we recognize, you know, what it actually took to develop those giants, we see that it was a lot of pressure, you know, that they had dealt with in their time. And it's almost as that the function has happened reverse, you know, in our day and times, right? You know, everything is not, you know, heightened for you, you know, it's actually dumbed down for you. They don't make you necessarily expire and step up to the platform, you know, they actually want to lower the platform. But one of the things that we've just seen, you know, because the Olympics, you know, just wrapped up and just finished, right? You had so many African Americans and so many Black people represent the United States of America, and guess what? None of them needed anybody to, you know, lower the bar for them at any given moment. None of those individuals, you know, were looked upon as being, you know, some type of special privilege. Nah, they all had the skill, the talent, the motivation, the drive, and they're actually, you know, I was talking to you know, a gentleman that you and I are both familiar with, you know, older guy, brother Curtis. You know, shout out to brother Curtis if he's checking this out right now. You know, he was, you know, just telling me like, you know, we look for them to be exceptional in their craft. We look for them, you know, to be, you know, absolutely elite in the things that they do. And so, you know, it's disturbing that, you know, we live now in a time where so many things are now having to be adjusted just to make people more comfortable, right? I guess, you know, making them not have to
That's the way to say it. That's
to
just the way to say it.
condition
You can't
themselves.
hurt people no more.
Yeah,
I couldn't run track. Yeah, like I knew I wasn't a track runner. It's okay to say, brother Hughes, like, well, he just ran a 4.2 and you ran
right,
a 6.8. Sit down.
right,
Like, you know, sometimes you have to be hit with the cold, brutal reality of facts. Like,
right,
you know, like it's okay if you're not good at this, you could be good at that. You
right,
know, and participation ribbons and participation trophies do not create an environment where you get the best of the best. If
right.
everybody gets a pat on the head and says, well, you did your best, but we don't, sometimes we need more than
But
that.
but but but
We
but but
need
check it, but
people
check it
too
out.
who can
And
go
don't you,
beyond.
and what do you think? What do you think about, you know, the notion that, you know, we can we can expect the best from everybody else, right? And we can expect the best from certain particular things, right?
Yeah.
But we tend to like to pick and choose, you know, where we're going to accept somebody being the best in. It seems almost. Am I making this clear? Like case in point, right? One
Woo.
of the
Ain't
things
that
that we
true?
have no one of the things that we have no qualms doing, right, is we have no qualms marching out, you know, entertainers, athletes to be the political spokesmen, you know, for a time where, you know, we need more than just rhetoric, right? Why is it that, you know, we are so accepting of, you know, all of a sudden when it becomes political or campaign time, you know, then we can accept, you know, celebrities and certain entertainment figures, right, as being, you know, the voice of
Because
the political
everybody
movement, you know,
loves a
as opposed to
spectacle.
somebody like a Jonas Hughes or Derron Black.
Because everybody loves a spectacle. And we ain't always winning at the same time, too. We not twerking and showing and then turn around and be like, entertainment has a way of getting to people. And this line has become blurred because we don't espouse intellectualism in America. Like we still like they, you know, nerd power and in, you know, this idea that, you know, it's just now coming to where you can tweet and that you read books and that reading and that, you know, we're coming into this age where we're like it's our frontal lobe is developing as a country. You know what I mean? Like we've since you and I we talk about this all the time. In fact, we pass books back and forth. But as a nation, we still want to be like the rappers, and the rappers and these people in rock and roll stars are nothing. It's that whole attitude that of the environment that we've been nurtured in since we are all children in this nation. Like, why would we follow an athlete on any other path than when except what he's playing to put in the hoop or if he can throw me a touchdown? Why am I going to let that man dictate political or woman dictate political policy to me? I'll be happy to listen to your ideas, but as far as it goes, you stick to the X and O's and I'll stick to what I'm good at. But we've got such a disconnect in our community on what we celebrate. And this is not just when I say our community, what we celebrate and what we elevate, it's all about consumerism. It may not be what's best for us. It's about what Madison Avenue and what narrative has been sold that's going to be what's best for the bottom line of a bigger company so they can make money, which all again comes back to having local leaders with the power who have the ability to educate, empower, and elevate on a local level so that people are more involved in their local politics and we have a greater show on the national stage. Man, I'm killing it, and this lag is killing me.
Nah, it's all good. We working with it. We fighting through with it. But and I'm hearing you clear. And I want people to really, double down right on the thing that you just said, because your capacity to be economically free is associated very much so with your freedoms, right? So if you don't have the capacity to be able to consume, in a market, right, that allows you to pick and choose, then how much freedom do you even have? And so that's one of the reasons why I keep bringing up these economic points. I keep bringing up these facts that, one of the things that we expect, right? We should expect the government, right, to play its part. We because there are a lot of folks out there that say, oh, there's no role for the government. And then there's a lot of folks out there that says that almost the government should be in everything, it is that you have going on in your life, right? And I believe that there's
the government should be like Adam Smith described the invisible hand. That's
right.
What government should be like. You know what I mean? It should be that it's done its job so good that it doesn't really exist. Not that it's in your face with goose stepping thugs or with a state program. It's the idea that it's created and nurtures the people who support it. And that is where we're trying to get. That is what we've created. This greatest experiment in government that has ever happened. And we are continually able to evolve, but the people in it have to participate. If we don't participate and take our part, we cannot evolve and adapt it. And if we're not evolving and adapting, people who do will take advantage of you.
Right.
That is the time and time again. A place where we can stand up and say, hell no, we won't go.
Right.
I mean,
right.
We were talking about Michael Brown earlier. They were supposed to be marching and talking about how the police were the threat. Once again, all they did is prove why the police are a necessary piece of every community. And when you continue to do that, you're spinning your wheel. You're not able to legitimately get your problems across because you're not able to express, because you haven't been given the proper tool set to adequately address and how you want to solve it. And that is where we've failed, not we, but people who go and run for office and then at a local level and then get in there and love that title. They love it, but they still don't do the damn job.
That's right. That's right. You know, and I think that, you know, for especially from the graphic that I just showed you, where the per capita income is only around 27,000, 27,000. You know, what if, you know, you associated all
Bro,
of
what
the
can you do on 27?
right, right, right. You know, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe this is an idea that we could, we could propose. You know, how about since the the government at the same time, right? At the same time that people's incomes are 26,000, dollars, right, in our district. Check out this slide right here. I want you to see this right here.
Man, there's people making 11,000 and living, and we can't even wonder how they making it on 26. And then you get a slide like this where you get somebody like McCann Beatty who's still in an office, which she does not, and I like her, and so I'm gonna stop. But this right here, 43% property tax increase. That would make anybody in any city, no matter what color they are, riot. If my taxes go up 43% and I own my home and it's been in my family for 4 generations, and now you're telling me I can't afford it? To hell with that. To hell with you. I'm out. And that's what's happening.
Right. So we've actually seen the income of the government grow, right? Because that's basically what that graphic just said. One of the things that we notice in any basic economic situation, you have the consumer, you have the business, and you have the government, right? And so we have literally seen the income of the government grow 40%. 40%. I'm sorry, go ahead. You were lagging on me again.
Yeah. It was because of all the white boys who raided the kitty and went to prison for it. See, we won't talk about that. We will act like it's just upon the shoulders of the people who were paying the price. But there were people who of balance, and they were a multicultural thing. And so we've got to understand. But they didn't solve a problem by raising taxes. They didn't absolve those who came before them. Instead, they put the burden on them rather than do their damn job and create a solution, which is why I like supporting you, because we always talk about solutions. We always talk about less government, more freedom, more opportunity, more chances for people and even small businesses to succeed. It's not about what can be done for me, but what can I do for you?
Right, right. I think, man, we getting down, to the last
Right.
moments or so, but I just definitely want to let
And I'll have
everybody
a
know.
wire next week, people.
Yeah. And I want everybody to know, if you have the opportunity, if you can, again, you should already be trying to like and of course, share this live stream, because we definitely need that too. Again, we're trying to get the message, we're trying to get the awareness out to as many people in the district as possible, and let them know that you have a candidate this time around, that really, really is concerned and committed about
Hashtag I
changing.
am Derron Black.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. We got a lot of things
Yeah.
developing. We're coming out, next month, or in a couple of weeks, which is just a couple of weeks, with all different types of things leading up to the campaign, or leading up to the election. And one of the things that we're doing tonight at 5:30 to 7 is we're having a meet and greet with me, myself, Steve Hinton to be there. He's running for state representative out of the 28th district. So please, if you can, if you're in the area and if you know some people, let them know, tell them to come out. We'll have some light refreshments, and we'll talk about politics, and we'll talk about, what is the vision, or what type of vision can we even have, for the ninth district. for the state Senate, and that's important. It's important because if you don't have the vision, then you don't know the direction that you should be tracking towards. And I believe that the vision that other folks have had, and we've seen the vision and we've seen what it's produced. If you just drive around in the district, which I have, and I live in the district, so if you just are aware of the things that have been taking place over the past 10 years, the past few election cycles, the past whatever, if you're just lightly aware of what's going on, you can see that we're not necessarily going in the right direction. So I need you to come out, and I need you to support, and I need you to like and share. And if you want to, reach out to me as well, because I would always love to hear, what it is that other people are thinking, their thoughts and ideas about the campaign, about how it is that you can help. We don't have a whole bunch of time.
Let me jump in.
So the time. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother Jonas. Go ahead.
There's very few people who I have come out and support, even on the past 15 years. And so he is the truth. Like, we have got to embrace change. And this brother is it. And, I'm talking to every American out there listening, because we have done something to change the spinning wheels. And so if you want to if you want to see change, and we need an evolutionary thinker. The revolution is over. We won. We need somebody with the mind and the ability and the fortitude to stand there and will put in the policies that you need for you to enjoy the quality of life you want and to do. All is possible. I am Derron Black. Hashtag.
I like that, man. Brother Jonas, man, I couldn't ask for a better partner to be with me on this journey, on this political side. Thank you all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And again, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, leave a comment, and if you can, I'll see you tonight at the meet and greet. Peace and blessings. All right, brother Jonas.
All right, now.